question, Xavier. Did I miss it? Oh, wow, I have 17 people. That's amazing considering I'm in the penalty box with TikTok. I see Kai. I see Kai again. Okay, Kai. Where's Xavier? Xavier, start 3. Full PPR. Waddle, Amari. Waddle, Amari, Ladd, Shakir, Ridley. I like how you guys always offer up every possibility for me. Okay. Waddle did not have good numbers last week as the number 2 behind Tyreek. Tyreek didn't really have great numbers. But let's see what is up with my mouse today. They play Buffalo. Buffalo doesn't have a great pass defense. The Bills don't. But let me just see real quick. The Bills are 13, so that's not too bad. Amari, then they play, obviously, the Dolphins. The Dolphins are number 4 pass defense. McConkey plays, the Chargers play Cleveland. They actually have, I think, a pretty decent, let's see. The Browns are 12. Shakir, that's another Buffalo Bill. So we're looking at, that's another number 4 on the pass. And then we have Ridley. Ridley's up against New England. New England's pass. But, okay, now Ridley, okay, now we have to do a little research on Ridley, Xavier. Here's the thing. Everyone's expecting a shootout in Miami. Yeah, I mean, I guess that could be the case, but the Dolphins have a good pass defense, so I don't know if it's going to be a shootout. That's my concern. The other thing with Calvin Ridley is he put up his points with Mason Rudolph as the quarterback. So now I got to check Rudolph and see if he's playing or if it's, Levis. Come on. Mason Rudolph, let's see. Nathaniel, hey, go Pack Go, says Pack fan. Nathaniel, you are always, okay. Mason Rudolph is expected to start for the Titans. Okay, Mason Rudolph will start. So that's good news for Ridley, all right? That's very good news for Ridley. They go up against the Patriots pass defense, which is number 23. Oh, and Xavier, I forgot to figure out, is it I pick 3? Yeah, start 3. Okay. Well, I would go with Ridley because Mason Rudolph is a quarterback. So that's 1. Okay. When it goes to Amari and Shakir, that's a tough one. I first of all, I'm going to tell you, I sort of have a bias. I more than likely will not pick both of them unless in my mind there are no options. Shakir's come through the last 2 weeks, probably because everybody puts a lot of emphasis on Amari, which I kind of get. It opens up. Well, let's make sure. Questionable to play week 9. If Cooper is okay, so apparently Amari Cooper, the only news I have is from Friday. He's still questionable, Amari Cooper. So you might want to put Shakir in for that reason alone. And Shakir's put up quality points the last 2 weeks where Amari had a good game when he got to Buffalo and then kind of, hey, Pack fan, love his playing. Hope he's not hobbling around. Yes, Pack fan, you're 100%. Don't forget to hit follow on TikTok and subscribe on YouTube so you know when I go live. I don't always go live before the games. I have, as I've said often, I've been penalized on TikTok. I'm still penalized. I have a video that I posted that's has my voice, has my face. I wrote, I edited, all of that stuff. But they're saying that I stole original content. And I think the reason why is because it's a horizontal and not a vertical video. And like their machine picked it up, but they're taking their sweet time in like lifting my ban, if you will, or my penalty, because they don't invite people to my live streams on TikTok, which completely sucks. All right, you followed me. All right, Pac fan, that's fine. I'm going to be going live a lot more on fantasy, and it is football season. I think against Detroit, it's going to be a great game today. It's that interdivisional stuff, and you can throw. I mean, Green Bay's going to be able to throw against them. Love's going to, probably throw to like, his 5 different people like he does every week. All right. So I'm saying Ridley and Shakir because of what Shakir's done the last 2 weeks, Xavier. I have not forgotten about you. And because I'm picking Shakir, it almost makes me want to say, let's hold up on picking Amari. Now, Ladd, let's look at Waddle real quick here. I don't mind the idea of Waddle. I just know that he didn't have a big game, and neither did Tyreek. He only had 6.5 against Arizona, and the Cardinals' pass defense is 26. Let me make sure. And they're going up against the Bills, and they're 13. So, yes, the Bills' pass defense is much better than what they played last weekend. So the whole idea of a shootout, while it's Josh Allen and Tua, maybe it gets into a shootout, but your fantasy's not doing great this year. That stinks. So let me just see here. I'm picking 3, huh? Everybody's got Ladd now. A lot of people picked up Ladd, I think, so that's not a bad thing. Let's see. Chargers. I should remember all this stuff, but I always forget it. Chargers play Cleveland. Cleveland's actually got a decent defense, but where's their pass defense? Their pass defense is number 12. Yeah. I just said that, though. Why did I look it up again? Waddle plays Buffalo. I do think because Tua's back and there's Tyreek, that Waddle could put up a bigger game than Ladd. I'm going Shakir, Ridley for 2 of the picks, and then I'm saying you sort of have a choice here. All right? If you want to go and gamble and sort of risk, pick Ladd. He has a higher ceiling. He's scored more points in a fantasy week than Waddle has. If you want a safer pick, because I think Tua will be throwing the ball, and he still has Tyreek out there, I would go with Waddle. Waddle's more of a steady pick, but Ladd can get you a higher ceiling. Ideally could get you 25 points, where Waddle might just get you, 16. He might have 70 yards and a touchdown. So Shakir, Ridley, and then either you go with the risk of Ladd or you go with Waddle. We're going to say that Amari remains sort of the focus for a lot of defenses, and it provides Shakir the points that he's gotten over the last 2 weeks. That's really the way that I'm looking at it. Plus, you got to figure that Buffalo's up against Miami's number 4 pass defense. And so that will, the defense is going to have, they're going to put pressure on the quarterback, obviously. I'm not worried about that with Josh, but they're probably going to send people out for Amari because they see him as the number 1. All right. I hope I answered that. Xavier, if I didn't, let me know. Cammy's back. I think Cammy's been around before. Cammy, thanks for joining. I'll get to your question in a second. If for some reason, Xavier, I didn't finish everything up, you can send me a chat, although I don't know how long I'm going to be on and whether or not I'm going to be off by kickoff or before kickoff, but you can always send me a DM. All right, Cammy, let me see what your question is. Okay, Now you're good, brother. Okay, thanks, Xavier. Appreciate that. Cammy. Okay. MHJ or Scary Terry? Okay. Good question. Everybody just goes with the Scary Terry. Sort of I just like how everybody just adopts it. It's I guess scary in a way that he's a big player. Okay, the Giants pass defense. Giants pass defense is number 8. The Cardinals play Chicago. Their pass defense, the Bears are number 11. So not good matchups either way for either player, for Scary Terry or MHJ. Let me just look up. Let me just get Harrison on my board here so I can make the comparison. All right, Harrison. Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, he had a great week last week against Miami. They're number 4 passing, so apparently you can pass against Miami, or at least if you have Kyler Murray. But if you look at the weeks before that, he's been inconsistent. He goes up against Chicago. Chicago has been pretty good against the pass all year. I mean, they demoralized Jacksonville. I know they're a bad team, but Trevor Lawrence couldn't do anything against Chicago. So I would say that I like McLaurin because he has been more consistent. Now, he hasn't always gotten in a 10-team league. You want your wide receivers and running backs to get over 13 points. He hasn't done that in like the last 4 weeks. He's gotten 11.4, 20.3, 12.8. So I'm rounding up on that one, in 15. But he's done it 3 of 4 weeks with the roundup of 12.8 to 13. He's done it where Marvin Harrison Jr. hasn't. And Jaden Daniels is playing, and he's kind of a force of nature, and he can beat you with his legs. So I'm leaning towards Scary Terry on that one, Cammy. Hey, Jose's here. Sorry I didn't see you earlier, Jose. Glad to have you on board. I'm still in that fun penalty box with TikTok. They limit the amount of viewers I get. Ladd or Monty at flex? Great question. Very good question. Ladd is a little inconsistent, and they're playing Cleveland, and Cleveland's a pretty decent defense, all right? Monty goes up against Green Bay, but how is their – let me look up their rush defense. Oh, man. I see Panthers. I see Patriots. Packers are number 10 on rush defense. They allow 111.6 yards on average on the ground, and they've given up 7 touchdowns, which is sort of average, in the average ballpark. There's as many as 14 by the Panthers, 12 by the Cowboys, 11 by the Bengals. So the Panthers are pretty decent. Let me just see. Montgomery. I mean, I do think Montgomery is a very consistent player. They're committed to the run in Detroit, even if it's a 2-headed monster. Montgomery's only bad week is the week that he was injured during the game and Gibbs got all the points. So Montgomery gets you 15 points week in and week out. Now, let's see. I didn't write down the other player. And when I do that, okay, hold on one second. Trent, no, okay, so that's that. Would I trade Deontay Johnson, Cammy asked, for DeAndre Hopkins? Well, first of all, it's the first game for Deontay Johnson. The second game for DeAndre Hopkins? He hasn't done much. If you're trading Deontay Johnson for DeAndre Hopkins, it's not a bad trade because Deontay Johnson isn't filling a role like DeAndre Hopkins is. DeAndre Hopkins was traded to the Chiefs because they needed someone. Deontay Johnson, they didn't have a hole. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was traded. Nobody left, whatever the case might be. So, yes, I don't necessarily think Deontay Johnson's going to put up massive numbers because he's still Jackson still has Flowers and Bateman to throw to. Plus, he has multiple tight ends in Andrews and Likely that he can throw to. So it's not a problem. Okay, Ladd or Monty? It was Ladd. That's it. That was the name I could not think of. But I've already looked him up like 3 times already. And I've been on for like 10 minutes and I'm losing my mind here, Jose. I hope you don't hate me too much. They played Cleveland, and Cleveland's a pretty good defensive team. I mean, surprisingly. And so I think that game might be close. Jameis Winston, I think, is a better quarterback. So I would go with Monty because he's like a 14-point machine, That's why I would go with him. Cammy, I think I answered your follow-up question about, yes, I would trade Deontay Johnson for DeAndre Hopkins, even though we haven't really seen them play too much. Yeah, Ladd, I'm sorry about that. I feel like such a moron. All right. So, Jose, if you have any other questions, just DM me, but I don't know when I'm going to be off this live stream to help out, to get to it. So you may just want to ask another question if you have it or anything to iron out. Okay. All right. You said perfect. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Jose, for the support. I appreciate it. Cammie, thank you for the additional roses. Kellen's here. Is this the Kellen that's been here before? Okay, Commanders or Chiefs defense. Okay, in fantasy, when I talk defense, and the defense I have over here, over here on both YouTube and TikTok, it's the defense that the players will see. It's not a fantasy defense. It's the average number of yards given up per game by each team. And as you can see, the Titans give up the lowest average per game, which is kind of crazy to think about. So, all right, Commanders or Chiefs D? I'm just writing this down because, again, I'm all over the map, and all this stuff with TikTok put me in the penalty box, and I got 6 people now watching live. It frustrates the ever-living you-know-what out of me. I'm used to having 50 people on at once at least, sometimes over 100, a couple times over 500, but they don't believe me that I posted a video that I made, but because I think it was horizontal, they flagged it for a violation. So, and they are taking 3 days it's been 3 days now for them to read my appeal, and I know it'll be over, their violation will be overturned. Okay, so Washington, last 4 weeks, 13-3, 16-6, so not bad. The one thing about the Chiefs is I don't think that they intercept the ball a lot. They had 3 in one game recently, but they don't put up a ton of fantasy points. Like they've had 6, 7, 8, 8. All right. And so in the last 4 weeks, they go up against Tampa Bay. Let's just say Tampa Bay's like the Chargers or New Orleans or San Francisco. They only got between 6 and 8. I mean, the Chiefs have only gotten double digits in defense 1 week out of 7. All right. And Washington's at least done it. Well, they've done it 3 times in the last 4 weeks. Yeah, I would go with Washington. I know that sounds crazy, and I always say, oh, the Chiefs are really good. From a fantasy perspective, they're not so good defensively because they've only had 3 interceptions all year. They've only had 4 fumble recoveries all year, which isn't a bad number, but the 3 interceptions, they had 2 in the game, not 3 in the game. I apologize for that. They do have, they had 7 sacks when they got 13 points. They had 2 interceptions when they got 16 points. So, they're pretty steady, though. They put a lot of pressure. They force a lot of 3 and outs, those kinds of things. Don't give up a lot of first downs, but those aren't all necessarily great fantasy points. So I would go with Washington on that one. Very much so. All right. Let's see. Ryan, Hockenson or Hunter Henry? Let me just write that down. Hunter Henry or Hockenson? Good question. A little tight end question, huh? Tight ends have been picking up over the last couple of weeks. That's been kind of nice. Kellen, baby. All right. On YouTube, they say, what's up, Kellen? That's for my buddy Nathaniel. Big sports fan in New York. All right. So Hunter Henry has had 4 in the last 4 weeks, 4, 11, 13, 7. So anything 7 and over by a tight end in a 10-team league is a good number of points. And he's done it 3 out of the last 4 weeks. So that's really good. He goes up against Tennessee. Now you can see, and I have this finally on both YouTube and TikTok, Tennessee is a very good defense. Now they don't put up a lot of points per se, but they do give up very few yards. And the one knock I'll have against Hunter Henry from a fantasy perspective is he's only scored 1 touchdown all year. That was receiving, of course. He has not rushed the ball like some tight ends sometimes do. Okay, let's look up Hawkinson real quick. I know I did this the other day, maybe 2 days ago. Minnesota. Yeah, he hasn't played this year, and he's had a knee injury. Okay, so he's got everybody in line. Trio of full practice. With the trio of full practices behind him this week, Hawkinson is poised for his first game action since he tore the ACL and MCL in his right knee. Okay, let me just say this, and I don't want to overemphasize this because earlier in the year I was overemphasizing injuries and coming back from injuries. I think that Hawkinson could have a little rust. And what I mean by that is game speed and all of that, and synergy with Darnold and all of that might be a little off. Now, is it off for a quarter? Is it off for a half? Is it off for a full game? Plus, with the injuries to his knee, the torn ACL and MCL in his right knee, maybe the first game back, he won't be quite like himself. It might take 2 or 3 weeks to get into that. And I'm calling that really an unknown, if you will. And because Hunter Henry is going up against Tennessee, I think they're going to use him a lot. So I'm going with Hunter Henry because I can see what he's done this year. So I have a body of work to compare it to. With Hawkinson, for example, and I'm just going to say this, if you've watched me before, you've probably heard this a couple times, but when you watch that game with the Rams, when the Rams beat Minnesota, I think on Thursday night it was, when Puka came out and when Cooper Kupp came out, Cooper Kupp, I felt like, now he got 13 points, but 6 of them came from a touchdown pass. He wasn't looking so good. He probably would have had just 7 or 8 points if it wasn't for that touchdown pass, all right? If you look at Puka, he came out like he never missed a beat, like he didn't miss a game, like he played the week before, all right? So my question is Hawkinson more of a Cooper Kupp when he comes back or more of a Puka? And then you got to hope and cross your fingers that he catches a touchdown pass. Otherwise, he gets, well, in the tight end's case, 7 points is pretty good. But, probably in that tight end's case, it would be 3 points. If he's like Kupp, he won't have so many targets per se. So I would go with Hunter Henry because we have a body of work to compare him to. We can see what he's done over the last few weeks. Hawkinson, the right knee, the MCL, the ACL, that all kind of scares me. And the other thing is they're not saying it. Well, let me just make sure they're not saying it here. Hold on 1 second, please. Okay, well, this one actually says he may not be up to speed in his first game off injured reserve and proceed with caution. Like, it's not just me saying that. That's from Roto World. So I would go with Hunter Henry because of that reason. All right. All right. Would you trade? Oh, I've already said that one. Okay. John Lonmarty. What am I? I'm John Lon. There's an H in there. John Lonmarty 3. Puka or Rashad White? Okay. Puka is playing. We know that for sure. I mean, I just yelled into the mic. I apologize. I just want to make sure that we're doing that. So Puka and Rashad White. Let me just make sure or see if I have any new data on Puka because he got injured or he was on the. He's still questionable. Let's just see. I know that yesterday they're expecting him to suit up against the Seahawks on Sunday, so it looks like Puka will play. All right, so I'm going with. It's not a. It doesn't sound like it's 100%. It's 99.9 that Puka will play. So you still might want to. That might be a factor we take into consideration here. Let's look at Rachaad White. I think earlier in the week he was questionable too. I mean, tis the season for that. We're at the middle of the NFL season. Everybody's kind of questionable. I mean, these guys get hit with a car every week. I mean, that's what the NFL is. I mean, these are huge bodies. Oh, I'll shut up now and I'll get to your question. FFA clan, I'll get to you next. All right. Rachaad White. Don't forget, guys, to hit that like button. We have a ton of likes here on TikTok. On YouTube, I'm not really sure. I don't see the like button on the page on StreamYard, but please hit that like button. On YouTube, hit that subscribe and also hit that follow. I go live. I'm going to be live tomorrow, even though I'm in the TikTok penalty box and they don't put my content, my live streams out to other people. I have 13 people right now. That's what I got in the first 5 minutes usually. But what I'm going to go live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe Friday. We'll see. But I talk fantasy the whole time. All right, Rachaad White. He is all right. Rachaad White said, White's day started. Okay, this is from last Sunday. So White's good to go. They're going up against Kansas City. Kansas City is tough on the run. However, Rachaad White catches the ball out of the backfield. The last 2 weeks, he was 6 targets, 6 receptions, 71 yards, 2 touchdowns. Last week, 6 targets, 5 receptions, 38 yards, 1 touchdown. And against the Chiefs, you can throw against the Chiefs. You can't necessarily run against the Chiefs. They have a much better running defense. Let me just back that up with they're number 2. The Ravens are number 1 with 69.9 yards per game. The Chiefs are number 2 at 82.3 yards. And well, you don't know, or maybe you do. Maybe some people know. Is Bucky playing too? Because you know that they do have that 2-headed monster. And they also have Spears if he's healthy. Bucky's still questionable. He has a chance to be available, assuming he's able to suit up. So Irving is a strong question mark at this point, which bodes well for Rachaad. I would go with Rachaad on that one. I'm a little surprised I'm saying that. I thought I would go with Puka, but I think that the matchup and the fact that Wright comes out of the backfield to catch the ball, so even if he gets 40 yards rushing, he might get 50 yards receiving and a touchdown, so he can easily put up that 13 points. And the Rammers play Seattle. It's interdivisional. Seattle's kind of not doing so great. They finally dropped that skid. They have three losses in a row or something. But yeah, I would go with Rachaad White. I think it's a good matchup for him, especially coming out of the backfield. You got to figure, and Baker Mayfield will probably get 20 points. He's going to be passing the ball today, whether it's Otten, White, Jalen McMillan, or Spears out of the backfield. He's going to be passing the ball. All right. FFA clan, Cortland Sutton or Tillman after Diggs ACL tear. Okay. We'll go. Let me just look up Sutton. I haven't looked him up recently. I've looked up Tillman a ton. You can pass against Baltimore, and that's why Cortland Sutton is a good pick. Okay, but I'm not giving my final. I do like Tillman. All right. Because he's the number 1 in Cleveland. I think he does have a connection with Jameis Winston. The Chargers pass defense. Chargers pass defense is number 9. Okay. And then we have Baltimore is 32. So rather than Tillman, I would look for Cortland Sutton because you can pass against Baltimore. They are dead last in passing defense, the Ravens. They give up 291.4 yards on average. They've given up 17 touchdowns passing. So that's a little over, well, I don't know if they've had their bye yet or not, but that's at least 2 touchdowns every game. So you know, so in other words, he could have a good day. He could put up, 13, 14 points. So I would go with Cortland Sutton based on the matchup on that alone and the fact that Tillman plays a much better defense. Although I think Tillman will put up some points. Maybe he won't get a touchdown. Maybe he won't get, I don't predict he's going to have over 20 points like he did last week, but maybe rather than 16 points, he only has 10 because he doesn't catch a touchdown this week. I mean, that's the difference in what I do every day. When I talk fantasy, it's like if a guy scores 2 touchdowns and I told you to start him, I look like a genius. If he doesn't score the 2 touchdowns, but still has 60 yards receiving, you're like, this guy knows a little bit. So that's the difference in the game, whether or not he's open in the end zone and he scores. So that's why I would go with Sutton in that regard because of the matchup, right? Let me jump back onto TikTok and then Buffalo Bills fan. Well, let me go to Buffalo Bills fan. Have asked and gotten mixed answers. Pick one to start at flex: Mooney, Tillman, or Worthy. All right. Well, Tillman. Let me look up Mooney. You've asked and you've had mixed results. A lot of times I go against the grain here. People get mad at me. They're like, I can't believe, they laugh at me. Okay, here's the thing with Mooney. He's been wildly inconsistent. That's one of the reasons why I don't love picking him, because he scares me a little bit. He had 16 points last week. Then he had 7 before that. Then he had 5 before that. They do play Dallas. Dallas is number 20 against the pass. Okay, so it's not as bad as everybody says it is. That's the thing. It's not as bad as everybody says. So Mooney is playing Dallas, and they're 20. And then we got Tillman, who plays Baltimore. They're 32, okay? The Ravens are number 32 in passing yards per game, all right? No, it's not Tillman. No, they're playing the Chargers. My bad. I was thinking of the guy before you. I'm sorry. Okay, let me get grounded here. Yeah. Cleveland plays the Chargers, and the Chargers they're higher, they're better ranked. They're number 9. Okay. So Mooney has a better matchup. And who was the last guy? Worthy. The one thing I'll say about Worthy that doesn't excite me at all is he's inconsistent. He didn't take over the job. That's why they had to trade for Hopkins. He did have 11.7, 3.9, 10.3, 14.8. He's gotten over the 13 points, which is what you want for a wide receiver or a running back or a flex in a 10-team league. He's gotten over that in the last 4 games, one time. All right. He did get 11.7 last week, but that was against a very bad Vegas team. All right. Now in Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield will be able to pass against the Chiefs. I'm not saying it's going to be a shootout, but it could be like every game is with Kansas City. It could be a 27-20 game, a 22-17 game, a 26-13 game, maybe even closer than that. Because I do think Tampa Bay with White and Otten have a lot of options now, even with Evans and Godwin out for the game. So Worthy goes up against Tampa Bay, and their pass defense is the Buccaneer. How much is it in the year? It's a Buccaneer. Okay, so if we just look up matchups, Worthy has the best matchup because they're going up against the 29th ranked passing defense. However, I'm just going to tell you right now that Mahomes doesn't pass as much as he used to. Okay. They have a very efficient offense. They'll probably open it up to Kelsey again. They'll probably find something for Hopkins because they can't have him drop 2 eggs in a row game after game. I'm sure now he's had more time to get used to the club, so he'll be getting. Declan, you're spamming me. I'm not going to read your question. You can follow me, but I'm not going to read your question, buddy. I don't do well with spam, so please don't do that. All right. Now, I would normally say Worthy because of the matchup, but I don't think that Mahomes gets you over 20 points as a quarterback anymore. I don't think he throws the ball enough. I don't think he runs with his feet enough. So that's why I would say I would go with Mooney in this regard. Although you could look at it like this. Mooney is your gamble, your risk. If you play Mooney, he's more inconsistent than Tillman, but he's a risk. If you need the points, play Mooney. If you want to be steady and know that you'll probably get, let's just say 10 to 15 points, start Tillman. But Tillman may not get you enough points, that 13 mark that you need in a 10-team league. So I'm leaning towards Mooney based on the matchup. But if you want sort of a safer bet that because I see Mooney as more of a risk, Tillman could be a better bet because he's the number one, and he is in sync with Jameis Winston, and I do predict that he'll probably get you at least 13 points this week, not over 20 like he did last week. All right, if you're on TikTok, hit that like, hit that follow. Right now we're all caught up on questions, and I'm not trying to be a total jerk. I swear to God I'm not, but I just don't like to be spammed. It doesn't get any of us anywhere. All right. I'm going to go back to TikTok and then I'll jump back on YouTube. All right. Let's see. Travis, Downs, Waddle, or Ladd? I'm just going to start. Because now we're asking, I'm not mad about it, but it's Waddle. Waddle is up against the number 13 pass. Ladd is up against the number 12 pass. Downs is the one I haven't looked up yet today. Okay, let me look up Downs. See what his numbers look like. Right. Downs at 20 points, 0.8, 16, 11, 18. Minneapolis. Okay. The Vikings pass defense is 30th. Let me just Miami. I'm just filling in some information here. Buffalo, Chargers, Cleveland. Okay, so based on the matchups, I would go with Downs. And the reason why I'm okay with that is Ladd is not consistent. Downs is not necessarily consistent. And Waddle only had 6.5 points in his first game back with Tua. So there's some inconsistency. So I would go with Downs because the Vikings pass defense is ranked 30th out of 32 teams. And I'm solely using statistics to come up with that. Statistics and context. That's who they're playing. That's what they're ranked. They're all sort of inconsistent receivers, but Downs has the better option, if you will, or the better alternate or better competition for that. All right, let me stay on LinkedIn real quick. Raheem Mossert or Worthy? Steven says, sorry. Raheem or Worthy? I have Worthy up. Let's look up Mossert. I don't love Mossert from the fact that he's like the number 2 running back in Miami. because then it kind of goes down to like, okay, I have to factor in, they split the carries. How much attention does he get? He did have 15 points, though, against Arizona. They go against Buffalo. Buffalo's run defense. Let's just see. Buffalo's run defense on Mossert, or this will be against Cook, because it's Buffalo and then Miami. Okay. You have I got that. I'm writing things wrong here, guys. I said Mossert and Cook were on the same team. They're not, obviously. It's a Chan and Mossert. All right. So they go up against number 15 pass defense Bills. Okay, so you can run on them, but let's look up Mossert real quick. He had 9 carries, 19 yards, 2 touchdowns. Those are his first 2 touchdowns of the year. Of course, they're with Tua. Now, Tua was around in week 1. He only had 9 total yards. He had 2.9 points. So those 2 touchdowns that he got basically catapulted all of his, his points in fantasy. He does receive the ball as well out of the backfield, but I'm not worried about that with Tyreek and Hill. Let's see. I think on this one, I would go with Worthy based on the fact that he had 11.7 points against Vegas. I don't believe that Mossert can get 15 points again, because I don't think he's going to get 2 touchdowns again. So if you take away one of the touchdowns, he's at 9 points. I think, 1 touchdown, 30 yards rushing for Mossert, that gets him, 10 to 12 points range. And I think Worthy will be over that. I think Worthy will be pushing 12 to 13 points. Again, in a 10-team league, and I don't know how many teams are in everybody's league. In a 10-team league, you want 13 points by your wide receiver. You want 13 points or more by your running back and flex. You want 19 or more by your quarterback, 10 by your kicker and defense, and over 7 for your tight end. So, all right. Let me just jump back to YouTube. I know there was another question. Olave, Terry, and Shakir. Cooper's out. Pick 2 for my flex. Okay. Well, I think I had this question earlier with Terry and Shakir, and it was Terry and MHJ. Okay, so I like Terry because he's consistent. Now, he did not have a good week last week. What? No, he did. What am I saying? They go up against the Giants. I'm picking Terry as one of them. He's just too darn consistent, and we know that Daniels is obviously the quarterback. It's an interdivisional matchup, but I don't know that Daniel Jones is – I don't know that the Giants have a very good offense. So I think that there's a good chance that Jaden Daniels will be on the field as opposed to Daniel Jones a lot more, at least in the first half. So there's that to think about. Okay, Olave. I like Olave because Carr's back. Now, Carr might have a little rust. I think it's his first game back, right? Olave had 14.7 points. They play Carolina. It's a great matchup. So I'm going Olave and Terry. The reason why I'm not saying Shakir is I know that, I've had some focus on Shakir and Amari and all this. Someone asked about Amari and Shakir, and I picked Shakir over Amari. But that was just based on what Shakir's done over the last 2 weeks with Amari there. But you have to figure eventually Amari, just like Davante Adams, although I take this back. Davante Adams had a big week on Thursday, or big game on Thursday, rather. You got to figure that Amari Cooper is going to be integrated into the offense maybe a little bit more than he was last game. First game, he had a good number of points. Second game, he didn't at all. But I'm going to say with Derek Carr back, Olave, and against a very bad Carolina team, Olave should have a really good game. So him and McLaurin or Scary Terry, whatever you want to call him, would be my picks. So Tricks, you have 3 defense. You have 3 defenses on your team, Tricks. And you don't think that that's like maybe one too many? Because you're giving me Chargers, Patriots, or Eagles defense. It just seems like you're wasting a spot on at least one spot on a defense. And I am not trying to be a jerk. I know it probably comes across poorly, but it just seems like I would have 3 quarterbacks well before I would have 3 defenses. And I would definitely not make it New England. I would dump New England. I would not have them as a defense. The last 3 weeks, they've had 1, -1, 0. Then they had 10. So 1 week they got to where I want them to get. Okay. So they're not even like, I would not keep them around. All right. Let's go to Los Angeles then. I'll try to get this because I don't even know if you're still around, but I'll try to get to you. Okay, so Chargers aren't so bad. They play Cleveland. Their offense isn't great. It's better than it was with their quarterback. And then you have Eagles. Let's just look up Philadelphia real quick. And on TikTok, I'm actually over 11. I'm in the doghouse, penalty box, whatever you want to call it on TikTok, because a video I posted that I made. I would actually go Philadelphia because they're playing Jacksonville. And they can put a lot of pressure. 2 weeks ago against the Giants, they had 15 points. A week before that, they had 9, so real close to 10. That's the number that you want in a 10-team league. I would go with Philadelphia because over the last, well, let's just see here. Yeah. Over the last 3 weeks, they've been much better than Los Angeles. So that's why I would go with Philadelphia. And they have a weaker opponent because I think Cleveland is a better offense. All right, let me jump back to TikTok. Okay, Kellen, you have another question. Pick 3: Downs, Devontae Smith, Puka, Tyreek. Oh boy, you're Devontae Smith. There's someone on TikTok who doesn't follow football that always calls him Devonta Smith, and he calls Saquon Barkley Saquon. I've never heard it called Saquon. It drives me through the roof. So a lot of times when you get advice on these other channels, nobody's really looking at anything. And this guy, the one guy that I know, and I'm not going to give you any more details, he doesn't even follow the darn sport. He's not watching the games. He's not following the replays or anything like that because he's mispronouncing every name. It's one thing for me to mispronounce Ivanisevic or what that third wide receiver for Cincinnati. That's just because I can't say last names very well. But I know that there's an SH somewhere in there. All right, so you're giving me 4 guys. God, I get all these big comparisons, and you guys know I have to always put these in. Don't forget to hit that like button on TikTok. Don't forget to hit subscribe. I go live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sometimes Friday, Saturdays, Sundays. I'm going to try to go before the games on Sundays. This is the first time I've done it all year, though. I am in the penalty box in TikTok, as I just said. I don't want to keep complaining about that because then they'll get mad at me for that. But you can look at all the videos I have on TikTok. I made every single one. They're okay, but they're not great. But let me go back to Kellen here. I just noticed Kellen. And Steve Murphy, thank you for the mini dino, tiny diny. And Kellen, thank you for the additional roses. I'm all over the map because I have to be on 2 computers. That's the other thing that gets me a little stressed when I'm on. But okay, Downs, Devontae Smith, Puka, Tyreek. All right. So let's see. Downs goes against the Vikings, and they're number 30 on passing. I like that matchup. So let's pencil in Downs for now. I'm trying to streamline some of this. Okay, so you had Downs, Smith, Puka, Tyreek. Of course, I don't have those guys. All right, I'm going to have to look up Puka, Tyreek, and Smith. Let me try to do that fairly quickly here. I know we got a lot of people watching and wanting answers. Okay, let me look up Hill. Hill only had 10.5 points last week. Someone said earlier they think that there might be a shootout between Miami and Buffalo. We'll see. They both have pretty good defenses. Tyreek had 10.5 points. So they're going up against, Hill is up against number 13 Buffalo pass defense. All right. I'm not circling him quite yet. I do think I'm penciling in Downs based on that matchup, though. Okay. Because the Vikings pass defense is so bad. All right. And then, Kellen, you had Smith. Let me look up Smith. All right. Not Devonte. All right. He had 17.3, 13.9. Then he was injured before that. They go against Jacksonville. I love that matchup. I'm going to circle Downs. Okay. So Smith goes up against Jacksonville. I'll just look up their passing defense. Oh, that was rushing defense I put down, huh? But passing defense on Jacksonville is 31. So right now, I'm going Downs and Smith. I know you need one more. I looked up Tyreek. Let me look up Mr. Nakua. Or I'm sure somebody says Nikoi or something like that. Nakua. Now he's questionable. Let me see what they say. Oh, they're expecting him to play. That's right. Okay, he had 14.6 points. He had 106 catches. Can you throw on Seattle? The Seahawks are number 13. Pass defense. Seahawks, they're tied with the Bills. Okay. So here's the funny thing about all of this. Puka and Hill, they're playing different teams, but both teams' pass defense is ranked 13. They're tied at 208.1 yards per game. They go against Buffalo. They go against Seahawks. Oh my God. I mean, this is a flip of a coin. They're both. Let me just double check. Buffalo, Miami. Yeah, they're both interdivisional. So I can't say, oh, interdivisional games, the other team knows all your plays, but they're both interdivisional. Stafford played better with Kopp and Puka in there, and they have Kyron. Oh, gosh, darn it. This is a real pick 'em. I mean, it really is. And I'm not trying to not give you an answer. Downs and Smith are definites. It's between Hill and Puka. And like, the only reason why I would say Puka is because he had 106 yards last week. And so that means that him and Stafford are in sync, and he might get a lot of targets this week where Tyreek didn't have that last week. Okay. So I would say that if gun to my head, I would pick Puka, but truthfully, you could pick either one. It's not going to matter. I mean, I know that's not what you want to hear, Kellen, but I would go Downs and Smith, and then whoever the heck you want between Puka and Tyreek. They both of them are playing defenses ranked 13 on pass defense. Okay, they give up the same amount of yards per game. They both have obviously quarterbacks. Well, one has a quarterback that's back. One has a quarterback that put up really good numbers because he had his two top targets back. They both have a good running game. So I haven't had this, and I don't know that I've had this season yet. It's a pick 'em really between the two. I'm leaning towards Puka because of Stafford and how good Kyren has been all season. I mean, he might be a little bit better than a Chan, and the only reason why I bring any of this up is because, um, you know, if you establish your run game, you can open up your pass game. All right, let me just do a reset, everybody. Don't forget to hit that like button on both YouTube and TikTok. Also, hit that follow button on TikTok and hit that subscribe button on YouTube if you don't subscribe to me. I don't have monster numbers because I'm in the penalty box on TikTok with one of my videos. I know I'm repeating myself, but it just frustrates the ever-living you-know-what out of me because I make all of my videos. It's not like I copied anybody's content. And I know, if you keep talking about it, it makes you look more guilty, but it's been all weekend, actually since Halloween night. I've had really low numbers and it's totally frustrating. But I guess I just got to suck it up, right? I mean, we're talking football. You got to be a man. You got to cowboy up, as the '04 Red Sox used to say, cowboy up. All right. Let's see. Am I missing anybody on YouTube? Oh, is Trix still around? Are you still around, Trix? Did I answer your other question? You had a couple questions. I don't know if I got to your second question. Let me know if you're still around. If you're not around, I'm probably not going to answer it. Let me just jump back on. Did I answer the other question though, Trix? Lucas Quack, Love or Stafford and Njoku or Rashad White? Very good question on that one. The reason why I'm saying Stafford is because he's going to have both of his wide receivers back, and Love, while I love Love and he loves to throw to everybody, he's not wildly consistent. And earlier we had a Green Bay lover, and if he's still around, he's probably going to unsubscribe to me. But I like Jordan Love. But the thing about Jordan Love is, like in the last 4 weeks, now he did get hurt last week. So 6.74 last week, then 18.8, round up to 19, 26, 16.96, then he had 31. What I'm saying is he's not consistently putting up 19 or over. Now, he did, out of the last 4 weeks, 2 of the 4 weeks, he did do that. Now, Stafford hasn't been able to do that because he just got back his 2 main throwing targets, but he had 25 points. Love has had 26, 31. Stafford had 25 points, and Stafford plays Seattle. Love plays Detroit. Seattle's pass defense is 13. Oh, where did I put the Lions? Shoot, I'm going to have to look that up. The Lions, let me just make sure I'm at passing defense. The Lions is 27. Okay, well, this is going to make the decision for us then. I would go with Love because the Lions' pass defense is number 27. He has a better chance to throw the ball. Love does, so he will put up the points. Stafford has a more challenging opponent. They're 13, Seattle pass defense. So I would go with Jordan Love, which makes sense because all of his horses are available and healthy. So, all right, let me jump back on TikTok. I'm losing people on TikTok. I guess people are following me and then I'm not getting to their question and they're leaving and unfollowing me. So right back at you, buddies. Rico Dowdle or Tank Bigsby? Asked Dom, who's gifted in the past. Here's the thing, Dom. People get very bitter, don't they? If I don't read their question, they probably unfollow me. I thought Dowdle was going to be the number one and could put up big numbers in Dallas, but they kind of jumped off that bandwagon. But now I heard rumors that they're saying that Dowdle might be the guy again in Dallas. Oh man, I just lost it. It just jumped. Dom. Is ETN playing, Bryce? If ETN plays, then Bigsby won't get all the carries. He'll still be splitting with ETN. So let me just look up ETN real quick. There's no reason that I don't believe you. Who said that though? Bryce. There's no reason I don't believe you. I'm just double checking to read it, see if there's anything else that it talks about in the information. Okay. And sometimes people, anyway, get players confused. Remains listed as questionable, but is considered likely to play Sunday against the Eagles. Let me see if there's anything else. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reports Travis Etienne is likely to play against the Eagles. Well, it's likely. It's not a done deal. Definitely. So here's the thing. I would almost avoid Bigsby because God forbid you're going to play Bigsby and then you're going to find out that ETN is playing, like 100%. So I would go with Dottle in that case, and for that reason. All right, let me stay on TikTok real quick. Marvin Harrison or Downs? Well, that's on YouTube. I don't know why I said one thing and I did another. Oh my God. Okay. Cardinals play Chicago. Okay. The reason why I'm suggesting Downs is because they play the Vikings, and the Vikings have the number 30 ranked pass defense. So it's a better matchup with Downs. Marvin Harrison plays Chicago, and the Bears have the 11th ranked. Sorry about this, guys. The 11th ranked passing defense. So I'm going Downs based on the matchups. I'm making a lot of matchup-based decisions today. I'm not exactly sure why I'm doing that. I guess because I feel the pressure crunch of all of you. Okay, so I actually went to YouTube. Let me go to TikTok and help out some of these folks. Still in the penalty box on TikTok. I guess they haven't looked at my appeal, which I know will overturn the violation. Start Brian Thomas Jr. or Ridley. Didn't I look up Ridley? Yeah, Ridley's playing the number 23 pass defense. Let's look up Thomas. See what he's been up to. Thomas Jr. goes up against Philadelphia. The Eagles are number 10 in the pass defense. Let me just make sure I'm looking. Yep. Ridley goes up against number 23 in the pass defense. Let me just look up Ridley. I looked him up earlier, but I want to get him on screen, that is. Ridley has, and Mason Rudolph is quarterbacking, I believe, and that's why you can play Ridley. The only thing about, well, they play New England, though. I like Thomas Jr. because he's very consistent. He gets 18, 16, 15 points week in and week out. I really like that aspect of his game. They play a better pass defense, though, Jacksonville does, in the Eagles than Ridley does. With New England. So based on the matchup, I go with Ridley. So basically what I'm saying is if you want something steady, but it might be not as many points, okay, steady gets you Brian Thomas Jr. That would be your pick. If you want to go out on a limb, let's say, and have a little bit risk, you want to get well over 13 points. You want to get up to 17, whatever it might be. I would go with Ridley, but Thomas is very, very consistent, and that's one of the reasons why I like him a lot. And he's on I don't know, at least two of my 3 teams because he is so consistent. That's what I really look for in fantasy. All right. I hope I answered on that one. One's risky, one's not. The risky could put up a lot more points than the one that is not. But Brian Thomas doesn't do a bad job. I mean, he's had 13, 19, 4, 20, 18.9. Going up against Philadelphia. He's gone up against Cleveland and had 10 points. He's gone up against Miami that's had 12. Indianapolis, he's had 20. Houston, 18. He's gone up against New England with 19. So, yeah, Green Bay, 13. So, yeah, Brian Thomas is going to give you probably 12 to 17 points. So, it's going to be right in that range of 13 points per game for a wide receiver and running back. All right. Don't forget to hit those likes on both YouTube and TikTok. Hit follow on TikTok. I go live basically every day but Friday. I go live Saturday morning, sometimes Saturday nights if I'm really a nerd and have nothing to do. I go live on Fridays. I am in the penalty box with TikTok. I know that anyone's listened for more than 10 minutes. They've heard me say this, but TikTok says one of my videos violated something, so they won't basically promote to other people that my live stream is live. So my numbers are like 15 people live and lower. So it's it's one of those things. It's just one of those things. It's what happens. I'm getting used to it. I have appealed, and I'm 100% positive the appeal will go through because I did make the video. My voice is I voiced the video. My face is in the video. All my videos are kind of that way. So, and I've appealed before, and they've always accepted it. So, all right, I bored everybody. A bunch of people probably left because of all that nonsense. But Luke, I hope I answered your question. Okay, let's go back. Anybody follow me? Dylan. Do I put Dottle or Ramondre or McConkey or leave Dottle benched? Didn't we talk about this already, Dylan? Like, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm saying, didn't we talk about this? Like, Elliott isn't playing. Dottle moves up. McConkey's inconsistent. Stevenson isn't a bad bet. But again, Stevenson's 22 points last week came on catching 2 or running in 2. He had 2 touchdowns. Whatever it was, he had 2 touchdowns, and that's where, 12 of his 22 points came from. And so I would actually maybe go with Dottle right now if you know that Ezekiel isn't playing. So that elevates him even more. There was rumors that Dottle was going to be the number 1 in Dallas. Someone was telling me that, but I haven't read anything about that. It might be one of those things that wasn't a big deal and a lot of people didn't talk about because they like the narrative that Dallas can't run. But really, Dottle, for 2 weeks, he had like 13 and 18 points. He can run, and he is an answer for that. So I would go with Dottle, Dylan. All right. Amanda Rodriguez is here. Hey, Amanda. Swift or Hunt in flex? All right. All right. I'm glad Amanda's here today. That is good to see. I like that. I haven't seen her in a few days. And Amanda, just so you know, you probably don't even know when I'm online because I'm in the penalty box. I just said it with TikTok because a video I posted this week, they said I didn't create, that I stole it, but it's my voice, my face, and I can give them the raw footage of the video too. So it is completely my video. I've appealed it, but they are dragging their feet. Usually it's like within a day or 2 that they get back to me on the appeal. But this one, I guess because I've appealed a few times and I've won, they're dragging their feet. So it is what it is. So my numbers are super low. The one thing I like about Swift is he's very consistent. They go up against Arizona. Arizona's Rush defense. God, I'm really getting slouchy in this. They're 26. The Cardinals rush D is 26. So yeah, I'm leaning towards Swift. Tampa Bay, though. Oh boy, Tampa Bay. Buccaneers are 19. I think Swift gives you a golden opportunity to get another 17 or more points. He's going to be, 13 to 17 is above average for a wide receiver or a running back. Over 17 up until about 20 is like A++ kind of, and then when you're over 20, you're like A++++ kind of. So I would go with Swift because he's been so steady, and as I said, Arizona's are number 20. They're ranked 26 out of 32 teams in rushing. So I would definitely go with Swift there, Amanda. Anybody new? Okay, Ivan Moltar on YouTube. And let me know, Tricks, if you're back. I'll read your question. Manpreet. Did I get to your question? I don't think I did. But if you're still around, let me know. But you guys all give me like 18 choices, and I have to look up each one, which is fine, but it slows everything down. Start 2, sit 4. You're giving me 6 names, Ivan? Come on, you got to give me like 4 names. No, you're not giving me 6. Elijah Moore, Flowers, Coker, Leggett, Lockett. Okay, you got to trim that by 2 names. Otherwise, I'm going to be here for 15 minutes, Ivan. I'm sorry to do that, but you got to know who you really aren't going to play. You can't give me every single option. I don't have no one. We can't sit for that. Or you can give me, I know it's YouTube and the cheapest you can get is 99. I'll do it for 99 cents, but I can't look up 6 names or 5 names for free. It eats up too much of my time. I just can't do it anymore. Let's see here. Who has followed me? Flinders 3, Coker, or Deontay Johnson this week? Well, let me look up Coker. He's a name that I don't get a lot, and I think I've gotten him twice now, back to back. Jalen Coker with Carolina. Everybody's bullish on Coker. Huh, interesting. So someone did put up points with Young. All right. Thank you, Nathaniel, for getting my back on that. Bryce Young in the 4th quarter. First career touchdown. So he got a touchdown. He had 9 points, 9.8, almost 10, and then he got a touchdown. He did do well. They're up against New Orleans, Coker. What is their pass defense on the Saints? Saints pass defense is number 28. So not great. So where did he go? That's a good matchup for Coker with New Orleans, and the Saints defense is not very good. It's 28 out of 32. And okay, I would go with Coker because Deontay Johnson, here's the thing, Flinders, with Deontay Johnson. He didn't fill a position like Hopkins did or Amari even did with their new teams. Everybody's healthy. Nobody left. Nobody demanded a trade or anything like that. So all he's really going to do is take away carries from other people. And he's got to build up his sort of stack of carries that he gets. So I don't see Deontay Johnson having, a 25-point game or something scary. Maybe he gets 13. Maybe he gets 7 points with a touchdown for, 6 more and he gets 13. But Coker, he's needed in that Carolina offense, especially with Bryce Young at quarterback. So that's why I'm going with Coker based on what he did last week. He did get 78 yards passing, which is incredible. Pretty good for Bryce Young. I mean, so with one touchdown. So I would say with Bryce Young as quarterback, it actually, the one bright spot is this Coker. So, all right. You have a good day too, Amanda, if you're still around. Thank you for your support. All right. Gavin followed me. Gavin. Start one as my flex. Dobbs, Tillman, Shakir. Okay. Wait, I just start one as my flex. Dobbs, Tillman. Did I not write that down? God bless America. Dobbs, Tillman. I'll just write Shakir. I know I hit. Okay, so Shakir's against the fourth best passers, but he's been doing great the last 2 weeks. All right. But then we need Dobbs and Tillman. I know what I need to do for next week too, but I'll create my own chart. Let's see, who do I have here? Worthy, Tillman, 9 Chargers. So we have Shakir going up against 4. We have Tillman going up against, let me just make sure on this. Cleveland plays the Chargers. They're number 9. Dobbs plays Detroit. Detroit's pass defense, not very good. They are, let me just double check this, 27. So I'm going with Dobbs based on the matchup against Green Bay and the fact that you can actually pass against the Lions, although a lot of people consider them the number 1 ranked team in the NFC. I think you can pass against them. All right. Let's see. That was Gavin. PM Gagne. Who better this week, McBride, Otten, or Njoku? I'm going with Otten because you can pass against the Chiefs. They're middling. They're in the middle of the pack, pass defensive wise. Okay, like 16 or something. I'll look it up because I hate to be vague. They're 17. I'm sorry, I was off by 1. So you can pass against the Chiefs, and that's why I'm going with Otten. With Tillman, you're going against the number 9 Chargers. Not a great matchup. And McBride, off the top of my head, I'm not sure who they play, so I got to look that up. Let's see here. They play Chicago. I don't like that matchup at all. So yeah, I would go with Otten. And you can even look at like the matchups for McBride and Njoku are not great either. So all right, OBJYN. Ooh, look at that. He needs, it's a full PPR, but I got to choose 2. And we have Waddle, who goes up against the number 13 pass defense. He did not have a great week last week. Shakir, who goes up against the number 4 pass, but he had 2 good weeks in a row. Pitts, I haven't looked up today. Have I looked up Sutton? I did, but I guess I didn't write him down. Okay, let me look up Sutton. You can pass against Baltimore. And that's why I said Sutton to me goes against Baltimore, and Baltimore is number 32. I know they were down here. Huh. I guess I didn't write them down. All right. That's just, Baltimore's 32. Baltimore's 32 on the pass defense. So Sutton is one that I'm picking. You can pass against them. Nix has been very consistently putting up over 20 points every week. So that's incredible and great. Let me look up Pitts. I know he's had some really good weeks. The other 2 matchups I don't love, especially the let me look up Pitts first. Pitt's at 23-10. They go against Dallas. Dallas pass defense. The Cowboys pass defense. Yeah. Number 20, Cowboys. Waddle is going up against number 13. Shakir against number 14. I would actually pick Sutton and Pitts mostly based on matchups because the pass defense they're going up against are much weaker than Shakir and Waddle's opponents, and that's why I would go with them. All right, guys. I'm kind of whipped, and I'm gonna probably start watching the game in the tail end, so I'm gonna bugger off. I might join later tonight, so you might want to watch then. But I'm gonna drop out right now. I'm kind of brain dead, and I apologize in advance for that. I just feel like I need a little bit of a break, so I'll try to jump on in a little bit. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget, hit those likes on the way out. Also hit subscribe and follow on YouTube and TikTok, so you know when I'm on live again, and hopefully soon I'll be out of this penalty box with TikTok. But thank you all for watching. Appreciate it. Oh, wrong computer. I'm still on with TikTok. All right.